Hey, welcome to the World Warriors of Capcom Cup Player Showcase. I'm Ultra David.
And I'm James Chen, and this is the series of videos where we're going to go over all of the people who have qualified for the Capcom Cup that's going to be taking place at the Sony PlayStation Experience on December 5th through 6th. Now, in case you guys don't know about the Capcom Cup, before we get into all the players, we're going to do this nice little introductory episode for you guys so you know all about Capcom Cup, Capcom Pro Tour going into this event.
Yeah, it might be the case that people are watching this for the first time or just getting into things, or maybe you missed it last year somehow. We thought we would explain it a little bit. So the Capcom Cup is the culmination of a year's worth of the Capcom Pro Tour, which is a series of events that take place at tournaments throughout the world. The 32 players ultimately will qualify.
That's right. For
the final Capcom Cup. There are 3 ways to do that. One of the ways is by winning Capcom Cup from last year.
Right.
Only one person got to do that.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a free ride for him, but you know what?
It's pretty well deserved.
Yeah.
Another way is by winning a premier event. So there are 16 events that take place throughout the year that are premieres, and they're just considered very strong events, and if you win one of those, you're automatically in.
That's right.
Then another 15 people qualify by points. Points are given out at each premier event, including as well as ranking events, and those points are useful not just for qualifying for those 15 people, but they're also useful for seeding throughout the event. So if you have more points, you will be seeded as a higher player with the thought that, you know what, we should put the players who have put in the most work towards the top, give them maybe the best brackets.
Right, so even the players who automatically qualify are still getting points the whole entire time. So they're all being tallied, and then they're all going to be put into a 32-man bracket, ready to go, double elimination. It's going to be lots of really, really good Street Fighter. But one of the things that they have done, as we mentioned, is that they have 16 premier events. And Capcom has done a great job this year of spreading those events all throughout the planet. I mean, this is truly a world game here. Truly World Warriors. We have 4 events that are taking place in the United States.
Correct.
4 events that are taking place in Europe. And 4 events that are taking place in East Asia area. And then there's 4 more events which are kind of a miscellaneous category, but trying to cover a lot of those spots that aren't being covered by those 3. So we're really getting a good representation of talent from all over the world, because there's players everywhere who play Street Fighter, and it's really cool to see all these guys coming from all these different locations.
I think it makes sense that those 3 general areas are given the most premier events, because that's where the majority of the strongest players in the world reside. But of course there are players from elsewhere who are good as well. So it's nice that everybody gets catered to some degree.
Yeah, so this year in US, for example, kicking off the entire Capcom Pro Tour was final round. And then we also had CEO, we have NorCal Regionals in Northern California, and SoCal Regionals in Southern California. And in Europe, we had Hype Spotting,
Stunfest.
That's right.
Milan Games Week also, as well as DreamHack Winter.
Right.
Then in East Asia, we had the Southeast Asia Major, the Tokyo Game Show event, Ultra Yakushu Cup, and then the Capcom Pro Tour Asia Finals, for which there have been qualifiers for throughout most of the year at different events. You qualify for that event, winner of that gets to the Capcom Cup.
Then for the 4 miscellaneous ones, we have one event taking place in Brazil. Very strong scene down there.
We have Brazil Game Show.
Right. Another event that took place in Kuwait, which was the KO Fighting Game Festival. And then we're also going to have another event in Canada, which is Canada Cup. Now, the last premier event is the granddaddy of them all, of course, which is Evolution Championship Series, which, gets a lot of players there, like over 2,000 players.
2,200 people. So that's the biggest one. And of course, Evo has more points for doing well there. If you win Evo, you have put in a ton of work.
plus another thing too is that Evo attracts the most international competition, so it didn't feel fair to make Evo a U.S. event.
It's in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the United States, but yeah, it really is an international sort of thing.
Yeah, I think over 100 countries were represented at Evo this year in 2015, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it.
It's pretty cool. So for doing well in premier events, there are some pot bonuses.
Yeah. It's not just about points.
No, it's not just about
pride.
Although that is nice.
Yes.
But on top of that, there's quite a bit of money nowadays. So for a premier event, in addition to whatever amount of money is in the tournament itself, there's also a pot bonus of $15,000.
That's right. And this is for all 16 events. In fact, this year, including Capcom Cup, there is going to be a total of about $500,000 given away for Ultra Street Fighter 4, which is really cool.
I agree with that. At Evo, the pot bonus was $50,000. That is pretty good. But when it comes to the Capcom Cup for Ultra Street Fighter 4, $250,000 for just the top 8. That is a lot of money. Let me break it down for you. $120,000 first place, second place $60,000, third place $25,000, fourth place $15,000, fifth places $10,000 each, and seventh places $5,000 each.
That's brutal. That means that a fourth of the players are in the money.
That's right. Capcom 8 Cup. Out of the 32 get paid. And the seventh, look, $5,000. Nothing to sneeze at.
Oh, yeah.
That is, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's such a difference from $120,000 that, man, the stakes are high.
I mean,
the stakes are high.
If you win Capcom Cup, I mean, that's not only just like you can say you're the best player of Street Fighter in the world at the time, but that's a good chunk of change. That is definitely something to be very proud of, that accomplishment. And you know what? It's suiting because this is a year-long event. This has been going on, as we said, it started in March with Final Round.
Sure, the whole Capcom Pro Tour.
Yeah, and it's just been going on all year long, even outside of those 16 premier events. As we mentioned, there's just been a ton of ranking events where you're also able to get points. Not as much as the premier events, but you're still able to rack up points. And these guys have been fighting for their spots all year long. So to have it all come down, and if you can win the Capcom Cup to take home $120,000, that must feel good for all the effort that you put in there. So
I bet.
Yeah, but I mean, so obviously this year it's much bigger and just like more grand than ever before. Yeah. Last year, of course, was the first year they really did a Capcom Pro Tour of this magnitude.
Right.
And so if you are new to this, we kind of wanted to go over, how it went last year.
Sure.
And kind of talk about it there, just so you guys have an idea of what to expect coming into this Capcom Cup for 2015. So
Capcom Cup 2014 was really well fought. There were players from North America, from Europe, from East Asia.
Brazil was there as well.
That's right. Brazil was there as well. And so it was really World Warriors.
Yeah, but there was only 16 players.
That's right. There were fewer players last year. Briefly go through the results?
Yes.
So let's talk about who did not do as well to start off with.
Yes.
There are players as good as they are, just the way the brackets work out. Some people have to win 0 and lose 2, and then they're eliminated. That's just how the brackets work.
And I still remember last year, before the whole event happened, we looked at the brackets and picking who to go 0-2, just as in terms of just analyzing the matchups and everything. It was the hardest thing because all of those players are so good. To picture any of them going 0-2 just felt like such a disservice. But again, 8 players are in the money, but 8 players also have to go 0-2.
That's right.
Which is really...
For this year, 8 players will go 0-2.
Really scary.
That's right. As far as who did it last year, who got 13th place effectively, that was Nishikin from Japan. That was Snake Eyes from the U.S. That was Shushu from Brazil. And that was Justin Wong from the U.S.
Yeah. So some of those names, obviously, guys like Justin Wong, They've been playing and been champions at fighting games for years and years and years. You know, a lot of people probably expected him to do pretty well, but you know, went 0-2. I know last year the two of us were really high on Snake Eyes. And went 0-2.
That did not work out. No, sir.
Yeah, and, you know, again, a player like Shushu, I still remember, you know, he spoke to us, and, you know, having the whole country, whole continent, you know, on your back like that, obviously made him very nervous. So it was really hard for him to perform as strongly as he was hoping to do. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, people who got 9th place, just outside of that top 8. Ricky Ortiz, United States. Then Bonchan, Japan. Knuckledew, United States. And Daigo Umehara from Japan. Probably the biggest name in Street Fighter and in fighting games generally worldwide for 15, almost 20 years now. And
there's a reason why they call him the Beast.
That is right, yeah. But he didn't make top 8 last time, so that really shows you the level of competition.
That's right. And he was a player that, you know, if you had any brackets that you were filling out, I bet you so many people had him winning that event.
He was a bracket buster, I'm sure.
Yeah, because the thing about it is Daigo's known as one of those guys that if he knows who his opponents are, he usually does really well.
Yeah.
But he didn't even make the top half, and
there you go.
that was a shocker last year. So again, with these 32 players going in here, it's so hard to call who's going to be on top. But you know.
Okay, well, 7th place, Fudo from Japan.
Oh, right.
And Valmaster from France. 5th place is PR Balrog, USA. 7th place, as well as Ryan Hart in 5th place.
Right. PR Rog was the highest placing U.S. player,
if you want to give it away.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I mean, everybody already knows. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Although Ryan Hart had some competition when it comes to the EU and those higher. So 4th place was Infiltration from Korea.
One of the strongest Street Fighter 4 players of all time.
Agreed.
Yeah.
3rd place was Luffy from France.
Winner
who won Evo that previous in 2014, I should say.
Right.
And so was coming into it on a high note, and he maintained it. 3rd place.
3rd place is amazing. Yeah.
2nd place was Shen from Singapore. And then winner was Momochi from Japan.
Yeah, and Shen, if you guys remember, so the previous year in 2013, there was a kind of a mini Capcom Cup.
Yeah.
And sure enough, Shin was in that as well. Also finished 2nd place there to one Sako.
That's right.
And so he got into grand finals last year. Was really hoping to, you know, make up for the previous year, improve his spot. But one Momochi got in his way.
Yeah.
And Momochi, I mean, after last year when he won Capcom Cup, he just seemed like he was the strongest player on the planet. He was very dominating. Yes. He had some close matches, don't get us wrong, or anything like that, but there was all this talk, I remember, after Momochi won Capcom Cup, because he also won a couple of events right before Capcom Cup. And then he won a couple of events after Capcom Cup, and it just started getting to a point where it was like, this is going to be the year of Momochi.
Right, when's he going to lose?
Right, similar to how Infiltration had the year of Infiltration, Shen had the year of Shen.
Right.
We all just thought 2015 was going to be the year of Momochi.
Well, I really think that's one of the big storylines, but out of that event. But another big one was how well Europe did.
Yes.
So we mentioned how the USA, which is another one of the storylines, was weak, having placers in 13th place, 13th place, 9th place, 9th place, and then you said PR Balrog was the highest at 5th.
Right.
But Europe, all the European players got top 8. Luffy, Reinhardt, Valmaster, they sent 3, and they got 3 in the top 8.
Yep. All
one
above,
of them was 3rd place.
Yeah, all above where Daigo is, right?
That's right.
I mean,
that's right. So
they played super
impressive.
well, and they made it really far in the winners bracket. And in fact, I remember 2 of the European players had to meet up in the winners bracket.
That's
so
right.
one of the losses being sent to losers was by the hands of one of the other European players. And after that, I mean, they showed up. Their players performed really well. And that also began the trend in 2015 of, is U.S. the weakest of the 3
Major
basically,
regions,
the world is the Street Fighter world is kind of divided into the three major regions, which is why the premier events were kind of divided that way, which is the Asia region, the Europe region, and the U.S. region. And, obviously there's a lot of pride amongst the U.S. players and fans and everything. But after 2014, people started to wonder, where was U.S. the weakest?
Well, it seemed like it, to be honest.
I mean, I know that's the two of us felt that way for a long period of time. So, and it was really interesting to see how U.S. was going to respond in 2015 and if they were going to be able to make it into the Capcom Cup. And really make a dent this year. And it's interesting because so far this year, the Capcom Cup qualifiers have really been dominated by the East Asian players.
Right. Of course, we're most of the way through this year, so we have had some premier events. Yeah, East Asian players. Almost exclusively.
Right.
East Asian players. None for the U.S. yet. A couple more chances for North American players, but not many at this point. And it does seem like that trend has continued to at least some degree.
Yeah, even the 4 U.S. premier events were all won by East Asian players. So they traveled over here and they took all of our qualifiers.
They did. They did.
Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that's going to turn out. Let's see if we can see if the U.S. players... I mean, look, Europe only sent 3 players last year. And they did super well. Right. If the U.S. gets 2-3 players in there and they make a big splash, that could be really huge as a statement from the U.S. players.
Yeah, yeah. It'll also be interesting to see how well Momochi does. He won Capcom Cup. He won EVO this year.
Right.
When it comes to those big events, it really seems like he steps up.
Yeah. I mean, Capcom Cup, obviously huge last year, but EVO... As we said, $50,000 pop bonus, 2,200 plus players going into there. And he looked super solid. He made it all the way there through winner's bracket. Yeah, he got to grand finals all the way through winner's bracket. A lot of the other players, including guys like Daigo Umehara and such, didn't even make to the top 8, didn't even make top 16, a lot of these players. And Momochi stayed solid. He played sharp the entire time. And sure enough, made it to grand finals and was able to walk home with that Evolution Championship trophy. Yeah. It's not easy task there, so.
No. Another big thing that I really think is a defining thing of Capcom Cup 2015 is that this may be the last big major event for Ultra Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 5 will be coming out early next year.
Yes.
And as a result, Capcom Cup in late this year, it might be the last big go.
Right.
For Ultra Street Fighter 4. And that means even on top of the money, on top of the normal recognition that you would have from this kind of thing, whoever takes this might go out as the last champion.
Right. Especially of one of just this game, this life of Street Fighter 4, which has gone on for, 5 years now? 6 years?
Well, it came out in 2008.
Wow.
That was 7 years ago, folks.
Man. So, yeah, we've been playing Street Fighter 4 for 7 years. And to be able to end, I mean, obviously, people are still going to play it after the Capcom Cup this year. But, with the new game coming out, a lot of people are going to be focusing on Street Fighter 5. Yeah. But to be able to go out on top at the end of, basically the peak of Ultra Street Fighter 4, of the Street Fighter 4 series lifespan, that's a pretty good bragging rights to be able to have. Just to say, at the height of this game, I was on top. And you know what? With Momochi winning last year, winning EVO this year, I feel like he's kind of poised to be the person to take that crown again.
He's in a good place. Yeah. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and he hasn't looked... I mean, yes, some of the premier events that he's gone to, he also hasn't made top 8 and such, but that's just a testament to how dangerous this field is right now. But at this point in time, if you had to pick one player, Momochi's probably the ones right now.
Hard to bet against, that's for sure. So what we'll be doing throughout this series is talking about Momochi, but as well as all the other players who are going to be in Capcom Cup. Each of the 32 We're going to spend a video on each one of them talking about the player's background, what to expect from that player. We'll look at a match and analyze that match to sort of learn about the player and how the player responds to different situations.
One of the most beautiful things about Street Fighter is that, 5 people can use the same character and they just all use them completely differently.
Right.
And, we want to analyze the players, show their general style. Are they defensive kind of player? Are they, offensive? Do they like to rush you down?
Right.
Do they... there's some players who force you into a lot of 50-50 mix-ups, and just hope that they come out on top, but they do most of the time and such. So
lots of different styles.
It's going to be really fun. It's going to be a fun ride going through all 32 of these players because again, they're all world-class players. Nobody can make it into this event. Nobody can sneak their way into this event.
Not at all.
It's just not going to happen.
Not at all.
It's just not going to happen.
But expect a lot of variety in styles, in location, even within the same regions. Different countries are represented. Many different characters are represented. Many different characters, even among individual players. Some of them have up to half a dozen characters that they can bring out. Some are specialists,
right?
But some have many different characters.
And one person mains the entire cast.
Just about. We'll talk about that person, as well as all the rest in this coming series.
But yeah, so if you're new to this, it's all being streamed on twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters, including Capcom Cup at the end of this year. But, you should definitely keep track of this channel because, as we mentioned, Street Fighter V is coming out next year. We got to imagine it's going to be the focus of the Capcom Pro Tour next year, right? And so you're going to want to watch all of that action. It's a brand new game. It's going to be super fun. And everything, all the premiere events have been running on Capcom Fighters on twitch.tv. So definitely keep track of that. You can also follow them on Twitter at Capcom Fighters as well to keep up to date on all the events that are coming up and when they're starting and such. So, but again, at the PlayStation Experience at the end of the year, Capcom Cup, that's where it's all going to go down, where we're going to go from 32 to 1.
That's right. Yep. The PlayStation Experience will be December 5th through 6th. At the end of this year. I'm really looking forward to doing this whole series of videos, to be honest. It's a big treat for me.
And you know what the best thing about it is it kind of gives us a chance to review all the players, to look at them all, because some of these guys qualified back in March. And because they qualified back in March, they're just like, oh, okay, we're thinking about all the new people who are trying to get in there.
Right.
But they're still threats.
Oh, yeah.
And so, for example, in Final Round, we mentioned the first event.
Yeah.
Chen qualified there. So the guy who finished second place 2 years in a row qualified immediately.
Yeah, he's a threat.
And so a lot of people haven't been talking about, him as much just because he's already qualified and we're all interested in seeing who else makes it in and everything like that. But he's there quietly.
We will do the big review.
Yeah.
We'll get to all the players. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you catch all the episodes, and we'll see you then.